Okay, so I just wanted to share a fun no-code project I've been working on in this app, which is called Glide, or this tool, whatever you want to call it, no-code builder tool. And it's connected with Airtable, so basically I made a base that has all the details of my trip, as you can see here, like literally the days, possible attractions, the hotels we're staying at, our transportation, our flights, all the details, and kind of connecting them together with an Airtable with relations, but then organizing them using Glide, which is an app that takes things from a database like Airtable or Sheets, and basically just giving different ways to visualize the data. So this app is just something that I created so that I could better organize trip details without having to dig through my email or, Airbnb receipts or whatever. So let me walk through how I did that in case it might be useful for you in your future trip planning. And basically what I've created is a template that I can then take and use for any other trip in the future. All I have to do is replace the details. So like, for example, we have an itinerary, and so each one of these is a day. I'm just blurring them out so you can't see all the details. But what happens when you click on an individual date is that you then get a screen like this. So the date's up here. You can see, you can click this to see what other attractions are in that city. So it's like the itinerary view where you can see like, okay, this is what I want to do for the day. And then I have this list of like all the attractions that I'm considering. And so you can click them and basically add them in. And as you can see like this, they become individual items. And then if you click on them, they give you more details that I'll show you on another view. And then I also added notes to every specific, whether it's the itinerary day, whether it's an attraction, whether it's our hotel, our trains, our flights, and things like that, just so that there would be a place to collect these details. So let's take a look at the attractions next. So this is the attractions view. It's a different menu item on the bottom, as you can see from what I was just showing you with the itinerary. You can search through them. You can actually filter as well. Actually, I don't think I have this set up. What I wanted to do is filter it by city, but there's a little bit of an issue with the Airtable relational thing where I have these each corresponding to a city, but for some reason Glide isn't like reading it as its own like entry option. Anyway, that's getting into the weeds, but what you can do is click on the individual items. You can favorite them. So if you want to go back and click favorites, you could say, if you wanted to compare a couple different options for a certain day, for example, you could favorite them all and then have them just be there. Or if it was like a certain day and you didn't put it on the itinerary, but you're considering and you wanted to see like at a glance, that's one way to do it. I also added this possible date and time pick thing. And the purpose of that is another view where you can plan a day in terms of like the specific time. So I'll show you that in a second. But another thing that I had to figure out with Glide is that the map addresses weren't showing up consistently. So I added coordinates and that fixed it so that I can do map view on different things. And for example, I can see all the attractions, and I could probably just show you this, a map of attractions. And it says there's no items yet because it was loading. But now you can see like all the attractions in terms of where they physically are. So that when we're like out and about and trying to figure out what we want to do, then I can see physically how close all of these things are. But let's go back to the view of the attractions we were just on, which is like a list view. And so again, if you go in here, we can also add notes. You can edit pretty much every entry here. So I could change the notes. I could add more details like a URL, for example. There's a map, and then you can also see other attractions in the same place. So that's the attractions view and how I'm currently using it. Let me show you the hotels view next. So this is like all the hotels at a glance, and I just blurred out the dates and the addresses, but so they're organized by date, and then they have the address, so you can kind of see that at a glance. And then let me show you what it looks like to look at the individual items. Okay, so then this is like the individual view. At the top I have the address blurred out, and then the next blur out is just the dates that were there and when we check out and stuff like that. But as you can see, You can easily copy the address to like your phone's clipboard. We have a link to like the Airbnb. If the host provided any details, some of them are adding like city guides now, whether it's self check-in or not, just so that we know if I have to like get in touch with the host, check-in and check-out instructions, and then times that are blurred out. So then if we go down in the same view, you can see more address information like on a map, for example, and then also that notes bar, and then also you can see other attractions in that same city. So it's just another way to plan things. So then this view is, for this trip it's about trains, but for any trip it could be like about transportation, and specifically it's useful for this trip because we're just hopping around to a bunch of different places. And there's a lot of details when it comes to like, where's the train station? When is it leaving? The blur is just the dates. So it's organized chronologically by date. And let me show you the individual view. Okay, so first part of this view is what's the direction we're going. You know, what's the sort of itinerary. Zurich to Lake Como, for example. How long is it? I manually entered that. A lot of this is manual input, but again, you can click the little edit icon, you can change it. I think I made it so that I could add other trains too. In addition, like if we wanted to do a day trip somewhere. I know I did that with, I'm confusing things, but anyway, a link to the tickets because we booked them. Any like notes that might be relevant, the station, the address for that, and then I'll move down. Then here is just the station on the other end for both options. You can copy the address, you can see it, you can see if it was booked or not, and then I also added these options here to add the ticket files. And for some of the trains, I had to add one for myself, one for my husband. They were separated. I could have combined them into like a combined PDF, but for some reason, the Airtable to Glide interaction is such that you can really only add one, either image upload or file upload. So if you anticipate more, then you want to add new fields for that. Okay, so the flights, I just wanted to have a record of like the flight number and the path, and wanted to be able to see, you know, when there's a tight layover and things like that. So basically it's organized by date, like all the flights on the same date for going in and out, and we're not flying within the country, so it's really just like you know, our flight there and our flight back, the route, the flight number, the times. I blurred out a lot of that, but let me show you also the individual look per flight. So then here it's just a little bit more information, and also again a place to put any notes, you know, like, oh, did the terminal change and we got a notification before we got there or something, or, you know, if God forbid we have to like rebook anything, then any notes for that. And again, it has that little edit tool so that you can add you can update information for any flight. And then here's a screen like for many of these other options where you can add a new flight. So yeah, let's just say that, you know, things got messed up and we had to take a totally new flight home or something, or maybe add a flight on somewhere to make a new connection. You know, things happen. And so I wanted to make this app flexible in that it could handle changes in terms of really anything. And so that's what this screen is. And just in case you're curious, this is what that looks like on the train option. So from the main like train menu that I showed you, there's a plus button that you can click and you can add in all these details. And I'm noticing that I probably need to add a ticket upload option, but I think I could also do that after I put the train in the way that it's set up currently. All right, let me show you a couple other just fun extra things. So you can have like a menu in addition to your bottom menu items. You can have like a side hamburger menu. So first of all, I have remaining to-dos, and so you can click on them. You can add like an associated city. You can change the text, or you can delete the item if it's done. So that's one way of doing it. I've also added basically just anything that I want to change about the app in here too, but most of these are just things to think about because, you know, even after you plan a trip, there might be a couple things that you still want to figure out, like specific attractions or whatever. And so this is just like a call to action. Whenever we have downtime, these are things that we could work on to plan the trip. So then a couple other things include, I showed you the map of attractions. I also have all the cities just so that you could see at a glance. This, I guess, is a different way of organizing like the attractions, since I couldn't get that filter to work in that previous step. So you can do it this way instead. And then another thing is I added a little notepad. So I was just testing it out here, the ability to basically add a title, a note, and then potentially an attachment. And this is another place where I could store like things that I want to read about attractions and things like that. And just like the to-do list, you can delete them to get rid of them, so they don't have to stay there. I also added this day planner, so let me see if I can figure out how to show you that with blurring things out well. Okay, so basically I just blurred out the dates, but it's kind of like that itinerary view, except for I would think of the itinerary as being more like this is what we decided we're going to do. And the day planner is more like this is what I'm debating between. And so one feature of it is the ability to see times, like, you know, if I'm planning to do this at this time and this at that time, do I have enough time to get between these different things? And so it's kind of a calendar view. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to share with you. Oh, and with this specifically, the date and time is driven by what I showed you on the attractions page, individual items where you can put in, you know, like a specific date and time that then feeds into this view. And then the things on the itinerary are things that are specifically slotted within the itinerary versus selecting a date and time on the attraction itself. Okay, this is the last thing for now. It's really just an extra thing where I could map out the different like hotels, where they are, you know, kind of see like at a glance how they relate to each other. This is just for fun. And then if you click on them, I have the date blurred out, but you can kind of see like a chronological timeline of all these different places that we're going to be. So with all that being said, it's my first attempt at kind of building out like a travel app that works for me, and just wanted to share in case it's useful for anybody else.